Welcome to the Haven Hubcast, a place to learn what business leaders, owners, and professionals are doing to navigate and grow in today's market. Hear from industry experts on everything from marketing, leadership, financing, and more. Brought to you by Haven, a co-working space where you can connect, create, and get stuff done.
Hello and welcome to another Haven Hubcast. I'm your host, Nancy Sheed, and I am very excited to be here with the founders of BE.U.TYMRK.D. Welcome to Shelise and Kadene Lafontant. We're glad to have you here.
Hi, Nancy. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having us.
So glad to be able to finally have this conversation with you all. So we're going to launch in and hear all about the story of BE.U.TYMRK.D, but I want to get it right just to sort of introduce you and your company. BE.U.TYMRK.D is an online marketplace of wellness and beauty products curated for Black women. Yay!
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Yes, you did. That's perfect.
Perfect. Very excited to sort of hear how this your company came to be and your founder's story. And as we talked about earlier, I don't know if you remember, I was actually sitting in front of you at the Haven Hatch, cheering you on. And
Yes.
I'm excited to be talking to you now. But we say founders, which means you're kind of in a startup stage. But before we get to that, would love to hear, Shelise, from you in terms of this is something new. This isn't what you've been doing, your whole career. When you were, thinking about what you wanted to do when you grow up, how did your path lead you here?
Well, my path is kind of interesting because I never thought I'd be doing this as in BE.U.TYMRK.D or the industry that I work in. Thought I'd be a figure skater like Nancy Kerrigan when I was little.
Awesome.
But, as I went through high school, I found the industry of finance. And so for about 15 years of my life, including college and grad school, I focused on financial services. And so I've been doing that for a while. Always loved the beauty industry. I definitely was a significant shopper in that space, but it's an industry that I think is evolving, and there is an opportunity now for us to come into this space and disrupt some of the things that we're seeing, especially as it relates to products for Black women.
Wow. I totally cannot wait to dive into that. I just have to go back though to, you said finance in high school. Is that what you said?
Yes, I did.
You were doing finance in high school? Seriously? I need to hear more about that.
This is going to make me sound a little nerdy. I was in the Academy of Finance.
I'm bringing out the inner nerds. Here we go.
I was in the Academy of Finance in high school and taking accounting classes. I got my first internship on Wall Street while in high school. And so that was going to be my route. And that's what I ended up doing.
Wow.
Went to college, studied finance, and then had the nerve to go get a master's degree in finance if that wasn't enough.
I wish you could see my face. I'm like, I do have an accounting degree, so I can say these things. But
yes.
God bless you.
You understand fully.
God understand fully. And was that sorry, I'm really diving in now, totally off topic. Was that this is a really practical degree I should be doing? Or was that I love it, I get it, and this makes me really happy, or a combo of both?
I really loved accounting, as weird as that sounds. I tutored people in accounting. I got a thrill out of putting together financial statements. And so accounting wasn't my major, but finance to me was very interesting. Understanding the stock market, understanding how money works. That was always something that was interesting to me. And then, getting an opportunity to work on Wall Street as a high school student was an amazing experience for me to see what those people that are walking with their briefcases and suits do all day.
Nice.
And I'm like, that's going to be me. So yeah, now I realize there's a, those people are exhausted.
There's a whole other side, the whole other side of that. I love that. Well, I'm sure I'm going to be curious to talk about how that's actually, how those skills and what you've learned have actually transferred into becoming a founder. But before we go there, you alluded to sort of, you've been a consumer of beauty products and in this space. What was the catalyst for suddenly there might be an idea for a business or a company, or, was there the proverbial problem or frustration? And how did you and Kadene come together, to sort of figure this out?
Well, we always knew there was an issue, but I'll talk about how Kadene and I met and how we discovered the issue together.
Mm.
So we met where most women meet at work in the bathroom. So
Love it.
it was just, an exchange. She was new to the firm. I had been there for just a couple months prior. And we met in the bathroom. We were, two young women working in the firm. And one of the conversations we first started was around hair and makeup. Where'd you get these hair products? What do you use? We exchange information. And then, we started becoming friends, started chatting a lot more. Unfortunately, during the pandemic with the events of George Floyd, we spoke even more about that topic.
Mm.
And we noticed that there were a lot of conversations coming out about just how much big industries were not paying attention to people of color, especially Black people.
Mm.
And so there were some decisions made that they would start to support more Black-owned businesses through adding shelf space to stores, providing grant opportunities, and things of that sort. One industry specifically was the beauty industry. So there was an organization called the 15% Pledge that asked that big retail stores create shelf space for Black brands. And two giants in the beauty space decided to do that. Now, we definitely thought it was a far improvement from where, Black beauty brands existed today, because we know that we can't find everything we need in one store or multiple stores. We tend to have to shop online, go drive to multiple stores to find makeup that fits our complexion or products that would, we'd be able to use in our hair. We're shopping all over the place, and it's very expensive and it's not very organized at all. Right. And so when these brands started to make this pledge, we thought it was noble, but we started to do some research into the spend in beauty. And we discovered that Black women actually outspend every other group by 80%.
Oh my God. Can you say that again? Say that again. Like, that's when I
Black
remember
women. Black women outspend every other group by about 80% in the beauty space. And that's about $7.5 billion. Wow. So the spending power is there, the ability, the demand is there for beauty products, hair products, and the like, but the shelf space is not there. And, as a consumer in that space, I can tell you, we get a little shelf called Urban Section. That's literally what it's called. And there may be 5 brands there, and they have multiple product offerings under those brands, but it's 5 brands. And that's just not enough. And so we were determined to change that.
15% or 5 products to the biggest spending powerhouse, in the marketplace just seems completely discombobulated or
exactly. It didn't make sense to us at all.
Okay. Got it.
And so we thought, we could create a marketplace for Black women to identify products that they need across multiple brands. And we could also, the value proposition for the brands is that, you'd be able to have shelf space, 100% shelf space on a marketplace that didn't exist before. And so that was really something that we feel passionate about, creating those opportunities and, also generating wealth for smaller beauty brands.
I love that. And I know that was an important part of your mission. We were just talking about, like, how do you describe yourself, and the 100% shelf space being sort of such a key component. And for those of us not familiar with the beauty industry, like, what that means actually to the consumer as well as to the brands, right? Like, that's a big deal for it's a win-win for both.
Exactly.
And okay, so it goes from conversations, like I'm fascinated to sort of, when it's a solopreneur, you start doing your own research, but how did, was there a light bulb moment in these conversations? Was there we should see who else is doing this, we should go talk to them?
Yeah.
Like there's a business plan? Is there okay, I'm good at this, you're good at this? Like, I love the behind the scenes of how founders come together.
Yeah, all of that happened pretty quickly. And one of the reasons why we moved on it was because we knew that through research and also through being consumers, that the culture was asking for this. And when I say the culture, I mean YouTube had created this culture of Black women teaching each other how to do our own hair and what products we need, right? And so a lot of the brands that are popping up were former YouTube influencers that created it out of need, right? So
got it.
The community already existed, the brands were starting to pop up, there was just nowhere to put them. And so fighting to get into a big box retail store was just challenging because they just were not understanding the need and maybe just not understanding that market. And so the research really started for us when we were trying to understand who else was in the space. There were other companies that were starting to move in kind, but they were focused on clean beauty or focused on a subset of the market. Whereas we thought it would be better to broaden our offerings so that even the micro brands that were popping up could gain access to their customers, right? Because sometimes when you are a brand that does great products, you still need the customers to know that you exist. And so creating a marketplace where everyone would know this is a one-stop shop would afford the opportunity for them to be someplace where they would get the traction from their audience. So that's what we were trying to do.
I love that you were thinking sort of holistically, but sometimes that's intimidating, right? Like you're like, okay, we're not just going to do one thing. We're going all in for a whole new marketplace. But it sounds like a smart strategy. So at that point, is it research? Is it competitive sets? Is it, before you get to a Haven Hatch, I know you had really thought through before I sort of learned about you, where were, was it business planning? Did you have advisors? Were there people that were out there that were ready to sort of like, they're all in to be part of your team? Or was there somebody who'd gone before you that you could follow their path? Or was this like, we are making this up as we go along and here we go?
Yeah, so we do have a business advisor, Christine Sullivan. She's awesome. She's helped us through developing the business plan from inception, really getting to the core of what it is that we're trying to accomplish. And so Kadene, our founder, actually found her through the state of Connecticut that sets up, small businesses to be able to get resources they need, especially on the onset of building something. So we've been working with her from quite some time, and she actually introduced us to Haven. So that's how we actually were able to join the pitch and get involved with Felicia and others. So it's been great.
And Kadene is the connection to Connecticut, as I was learning earlier today. Kadene, you're the Connecticut connection, right?
I am, yes. I currently live in Connecticut, in Stamford, Connecticut.
Nice. Well, we were before this lamenting traffic and all of those other things and who's in and who's off. So Kadene, we were talking about the bathroom conversation and meeting each other. I'd love to hear from you how you guys decided, like, how you didn't step on each other's toes or how you decided who was doing what. Was it a matter of like, this is what I want to do? Or were you guys looking at each other saying, I don't want to do that, you do this? Like, how do you divide and conquer when you're co-founders?
It's a really good question. And it's not a conversation that Shelise and I have had explicitly. So we really...
Am I in trouble for putting you...
Oh, no, not at all.
No. But it's worked. It's worked great for us thus far. I think what we're really good at, we've been able to identify what each other's strengths are. And just based on that, we kind of just, if this is your strength, you kind of roll with it. Shelise is more on the creative side of things. And so in terms of, creating the website, kind of designing the t-shirts, without us even having a discussion, she automatically took the lead on that, right? As it relates to maybe the administrative portion of it, like the filing of the taxes and the non-fun things. Exactly. She didn't want the sexy work, So in terms of that aspect of it, I've taken the lead on that. So although it's not a conversation or, we haven't defined our roles explicitly, it's been working well because we just go with what our strengths are.
Okay. And I just want to give a shout out that the finance accounting person is doing the creative stuff. So for all of you naysayers, people like me and Shelise who have accounting degrees can do fun stuff too. Thank you very much.
Well, Kadene is Kadene is also finance accounting.
I'm also finance accounting.
I know, but she got stuck filing the taxes. Sorry, Kadene.
She did.
So sorry.
She's good at it. Yay, Kadene.
So I was saying earlier, like I got the honor to witness your pitch at the Haven Hatch, which was such a treat and delight. And walk me through, was that the first pitch? Have you been doing pitches the whole time? I know, that you're hopefully moving this from, the side gig and hustle to the full-time thing. what has life looked like since then in terms of, are you still pitching? Where are you where are you in your business?
So the Haven pitch was our second pitch that Shelise and I did together. And since then, we've just been continuing to, expand our networks, meet as many people as we can to, give the brand some awareness. We've also trying to get funding, obtain additional funding at this point as well, because that's been a major challenge for us just moving our business along. And so, we're in the process of meeting with various investors and having those discussions.
In terms of just the pitching, a lot of times somebody just, they're pitching and they have to explain their business. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, you guys are having to do more than pitch a business. You're having to create an awareness. I mean, Shelise, you alerted to this earlier, like you're having to explain a whole marketplace. Mm-hmm. You're having to enlighten people who probably, I feel like you've got a heavier burden than just saying, this is how great our product is. You almost got some advocacy work that you're doing. Does that feel like that or?
It does. But the good thing about that is I think once people get the full story, they understand and they're on board. So that's been the positive part about it. Mm. And it's not necessarily people that look like Kadene and I. It's, people like you, Nancy, that may have not necessarily known the problem existed as broadly as it does. But once you start to take a look at the shelves when you walk into the stores or, really try to understand that European beauty standards has really controlled how companies stock shelves and how they support brands, you'll understand why there are brands that are amazing, but they can't survive because they don't have access the way other people do, right? And so the great part about that is although we have to do more storytelling and explain why things will work because they have always worked this way, people get on board and they really understand and want to understand and learn more. So that's been great.
I love that and appreciate you sort of honoring the storytelling and the work that has to go into it. Are you finding it easier for our doors to be open now than maybe when you started, or conversations? Is there less educating? Have things changed? Have you've also honed in your story? I'm just curious how you've seen things change as you're sort of going along your founder's journey.
I think for us, the biggest challenge is funding, right? And I think funding is a whole other area of advocacy that someone needs to get through because women, get 2% of investor founding and Black women get even less than that, right? And so the challenge is not necessarily selling the idea, it's getting people to actually put their money where their mouth is and support, right? And so we're trying multiple channels. We've applied for some grants. We're looking at different loans as well as the investor route, right? So we're taking this from all different angles. But in terms of our brand itself, we're learning a lot about the industry. We're learning a lot about where it's going. And I think the industry now understands, even through some of the recent brands that have come up, like Fenty Beauty is an example we always use. So a few years ago, Rihanna, which we all know is a celebrity, she developed a brand called Fenty. And one of the things that she aimed to solve was the issue around foundation, right?
Right.
Typically, foundation is found in, for Black women, like 3 different colors. It'll be 2 to 3, actually. Sometimes it's fair, medium, and then it's dark. She came out with a line with 40 plus shades, right? Because we all have different undertones in addition to shades and complexions. And so that solved a huge problem in the market, and a lot of other brands followed suit thereafter, after she had made billions of dollars instantly, because we were all running to Sephora to grab this foundation that we did not have before, right? Now you were able to match 2 to 3 shades as opposed to trying to find your way through that light, medium, dark, which probably was not going to work.
Well, and wonderful to sort of, again, have a celebrity, like have somebody slightly ahead of you, slightly with a bigger following, to be highlighting the problem that makes your storytelling, I won't say easier, but can be part of the story or the narrative that you've, or a proof point, as it were. Well, I hope there are more hitches in your future and lots more fundraising.
Yes.
And we look forward to the day when we're talking to you from the BE.U.TYMRK.D offices.
Yes.
What's the best way for people who want to learn more about you, who are interested in hearing more about your story? And I'm just going to say, I'm going to put it out there, and who are interested in investing. What's the best way, Kadene, for them to reach you all?
Sure. So we have a website up. So it's BE.U.TYMRK.com. So that's BE.U.TYMRK.D as in David. So BE.U.TYMRK.com. And then we're also on Instagram.
Fantastic. And I'm so glad you spelled that out. I meant to do it at the beginning of the show. And I was like, it's not exactly like it sounds, but when you see it, it makes total sense. Well, thank you both so much for your time. Like I said, I'm honored that Haven brought us together, and I love hearing your story, and I can't wait to check in and hear where you are in the very near future.
Thank you so much, Nancy.
Thanks, Nancy.
And that's another episode of the Haven Hubcast. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Haven Hubcast, a place to learn what business leaders and owners are doing to navigate and grow in today's market. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Haven is a co-working space and virtual community located in the heart of Fairfield County, Connecticut. Haven is a hub for business owners and professionals to connect, create, and get stuff done. Find out more about the Haven community online at haven.com. That's HAYVN.com. Haven Hubcast is produced by Sound Advice Strategies.